The Descendants with Cheer on CJ106, The Alternative Edge. We've got tons of great music on the way, so stick around. We've got Tinted Windows coming up with Kind of Girl, but right now, it's David Martell, The End of Self. You're listening to The Alternative Edge. CJ106, that was the Audio Bullies with Only Man. And before that, The Pursuit of Happiness with Edmonton Block Heater. Dalai Lama tweet of the day. In general, I think that anger is a sign of weakness and tolerance a sign of strength. I could not agree with him more. We've got some new CD releases out for you, and I'm going to let you know more about them right after Hannah George's with Chit Chat. CJ106, what a funky riff that was. That's Widemouth Mason with Why. We've got tons of great music. Stick around. We've got Choke with Fallout Leader, but right now, Attack in Black and Young Leaves. You're listening to The Alternative Edge. CJ106, that was the Helio sequence with Hallelujah. We've got more great music on the way. Angels and Airwaves are coming up. It's -3 in the Wheat City right now. And right now we've got a song that was voted one of the greatest Canadian songs of all time. It's Ahead by a Century by that great band, The Tragically Hip, on CJ106.
First thing we climb a tree, and maybe then we talk, or sit silently.
Fade Like a Shadow by KT Tunstall on CJ106. We're about 6 minutes away from the top of the hour, and I'm going to bring you your local news, weather, and sports details. But right now, here's Major Maker and Roller Coaster on the Alternative Edge, CJ106.
I'm a roller coaster.
Boot Sauce with their cover of Beastie Boys with Fight for Your Right to Party on CJ106, the Alternative Edge. Quick rock flash for you. Limp Bizkit, yes, the kings of the worst album titles ever, are planning to release their new album titled Gold Cobra in June. Hopefully that should be pretty good. And the Strokes will be headlining Madison Square Garden on April 1st to celebrate the release of their new album Angles. Haven't heard a new album from them in quite some time. And finally, Motorhead's new album, The World Is Yours, has charted, can you guess where? Number 94 on the U.S. Billboard 200, selling 7,000 copies in its first week of release. Thankfully, they make all their money from touring, because with album sales like that, yikes.
Since you last gave blood, someone had a car accident, needed cancer treatment, had a serious burn.
Wrong.
CJ106, that was Depeche Mode with Wrong. We're about 6 minutes away from the top of the hour, where I'm going to bring you your local news, weather, and sports details. Death Cab for Cuties on the way with their hit The Sound of Settling. Right now it's Diamond Rings with Something Else. You're listening to CJ106, the Alternative Edge. The Mudmen with 5 o'clock here on CJ106, the Alternative Edge. Today marks the 25-year anniversary of the first mainstream computer virus, known as Brain. It was actually developed to prevent software piracy by Pakistani brothers who famously included their address and phone numbers in the code. Since Brain's release in 1986, there have been countless advances in the technology viruses use to hide and spread themselves, obviously. Symatech's Intelligence Quarterly Report for July to September 2010 said Canada was ranked number 10 in terms of countries where the highest amount of malicious activity took place or originated. The United States was number 1. I have a solution for all of these malware and viruses and Trojan horses and syntax errors and you name it. Buy a Mac.
If you had to do your...
Pot Calls Kettle Black by Small Sins on CJ106. The Pixies announced new Doolittle tour dates. They've been waiting for years for this, where they're going to perform their entire album from beginning to end, including B-sides. Some of the hits from that album were Debaser, Wave of Mutilation, Here Comes Your Man, Hey, and Gouge Away. I just went off the top of my head for that one. Dates for the Pixies 2011 Doolittle tour. There are 13 dates, one of them being the Centennial Concert Hall in Winnipeg on April the 27th. So somebody has to buy me tickets. When all else fails, I have to turn to Mom. Mom, I love you. You need to buy me tickets to the Pixies. It is necessary that I see this show. So you know what? Text me later, Mom. You need to buy them, and then I'll buy you, some hard rock Marilyn Manson tickets or something like that. Stick around, because after the break, we've got Stars with Death to Death on the Alternative Edge.
From Brandon, Manitoba, this is CJ106.5FM, Assiniboine Community College Campus Radio.
Good afternoon. At 1 p.m., it's currently cloudy and minus 19 in the Wheat City. At 1 p.m., from the CJ106 newsroom, I'm Scott Couldridge. A plan is in the works to subsidize Winnipeg homeowners who install sump pumps and backwater valves in their houses. Winnipeg Mayor Sam Cates says the provincial municipal plan may subsidize up to 60% of the system's costs. Cates says every home in the city should have the equipment due to the risk of overland flooding. He says the program will be in place before the spring. A shelter at a Manitoba high school for teachers and students to smoke may soon be extinguished. The designated smoking area was set up last November at Steinbach Regional Secondary School. The goal is to get student smokers off the street and eliminate complaints from area homeowners about the mess smokers were leaving behind. Lighting up on school property was banned province-wide 3 years ago, and Education Minister Nancy Allen says the shack contravenes that policy. The Bank of Canada says Canadian firms are in a poor position to take full advantage of better-than-expected growth in the U.S. this year. The bank's latest quarterly outlook predicts the American economy will grow by 3.3%, a full point higher than previously forecast. The bank warns the Canadian economy is starting to pay a steep price for the relative strength of the dollar and the poor productivity of businesses. It says competitive challenges will limit Canadian export growth and that our economy will be kept to a relatively modest 2.4% growth this year. In sports, just 3 games in the NHL tonight. Toronto will take on the Rangers in New York. The Maple Leafs have 1 regulation loss in their last 6 games. Columbus visits Florida, and Calgary is home to Minnesota. The Flames have just 2 wins in their last 7 games. It's a tough challenge for the Toronto Raptors. They will take on the Western Conference leading Spurs tonight in San Antonio. The Spurs have only lost 2 times on their home court all season. Toronto has dropped 4 games in a row. That's all your news and sports. Stick around after the break for your full weather forecast. Currently in Brandon, it's cloudy and minus 27 degrees. With winds from the southwest at 15 kilometers per hour, it feels more like minus 38. This evening, it's going to be a few flurries and a 60% chance of precipitation with a high of minus 29. Overnight tonight, it's going to be some scattered flurries and less than 1 centimeter of snow will fall. 60% chance of precipitation and a low of minus 25. Looking ahead through the weekend, Friday, it's going to be some cloudy periods and a high of minus 18 and a 30% chance of precipitation. Saturday, it's going to be mainly sunny and a high of minus 22. Less than 1 centimeter of snow is expected with winds from the northeast at 10 kilometers per hour. It will feel more like minus 26. And Sunday, some scattered flurries. It's going to be warm at minus 6 degrees. Less than 1 centimeter of snow and winds from the southwest at 20 kilometers per hour will make it feel more like minus 19. Once again in the Wheat City, there's a few clouds in the sky and a high of minus 27 degrees with winds from the southwest at 15 kilometers per hour. It feels more like minus 38. That's all your local news, weather, and sports from the CJ106 newsroom. I'm Scott Couldridge, and now back to some more great music.